Diamo, welcome.
Nice to meet you.
It's pleasure. I'm Justin with JustINSPIRE Mentoring.
Yeah, right now, I'm still a college student. My major is mass communication and public health. So I'm happy that you invite me here today so we can talk about Saint Dia.
Saint Dia. I love it. I love it. Just to get you guys a little heads up, you know, me and my brother, Diamo, we connected on our ambitious goals of wanting to be more hands-on with the youth. Just Inspire Mentoring is all about men coming together to do just that, just inspire the youth through mentoring, right? Any mentoring through any form in which you see possible. I love to use chess, life skills, social etiquette, DJing, but I also love food. So we gathered today here at Baltimore County Cox Park, and we kind of congregated over the grill and talked about how wouldn't this be beautiful if we could do this together more often, but with more men and young men as well. And you share this ambitious idea called Saint Dia.
Yes.
Could you talk more about that, please?
Saint Dia, the New Horizons. That's gonna be the name we fighting for as we speak. But Saint Dia is gonna be a nonprofit. Pretty much, we're gonna be uncovering or recovering old recipes that was lost within the slave trade or got lost within mouth. So I say within mouth that recipes that was passed on from mouth to mouth communication, but got slowly not really talked about within the Black home. So our mission is going to be reconnecting those cookbooks, bring them back together, as well finding other recipes that left the African diaspora or the African community that went to other continents such as Asia, Europe, or Australia. And we're going to try to see how those recipes became a new thing or even.
And I love that. When you first told me that, I was like, my ears, my head, I just lit up like, yo, that is amazing. And the reason why I love it is because it sounds simple, but it's applicable anywhere. We need to eat. One of the biggest issues that I've learned as an educator over 10 years, a lot of kids come to school just to eat. And sometimes that's not even the best nutrition, but it's all they got. And it doesn't take a lot for us, as we learned this afternoon, right, to come together and break bread. What if we could do that and still do something greater by instilling some education in our youth and teaching them about who they are? Because like you said, learning about the recipes lost, in African diaspora is important to also knowing your identity. I know, going back to some past conversations, you talked about some of the dishes in Liberia, and I noticed that, hey, you're saying dishes that are also unique to me here in America that originate with my family in the South. Talked about macaroni and cheese. That is, macaroni and cheese is a big deal to me. That recipe comes from my grandmother, right? That is a staple in my family, is that baked macaroni and cheese. And for you to tell me that it's also a staple in your family, in the culture in Liberia, I was like, yo, that's dope. Because I believe a lot of us as African Americans, and I don't think it's purposefully, but we just think that what we experience is just some unique box. And the reality is we don't understand or see how we are part of something bigger. And your idea, Saint Dia, that is, I believe, an example of an activity showing us how we are part of something bigger. And so, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening, I told Diamo, not only do I want to assist him in getting this going, but JustINSPIRE Mentoring wants to use some of our own profits that we see to help you get this going. I mean that. I really mean that. We don't have much now, but whatever we have, we want to figure out how we can help you as well. So we asked, in return, show up for us, help us mentor the youth, which you guys just missed. One of our mentees, shout out to Edgardo, was just here. He fellowshiped with us this afternoon. Happy 4th of July. But I just think what you're doing is so magnificent. As a matter of fact, it's almost, I want to support your idea. I think that chess and life skills, social etiquette, the different things I talk about, that could be a great, backdrop to support these meals and meetings. Can you talk more about what does that look like?
So the meals and meetings, pretty much how I envision Saint Dia is going to be a place where a kid can feel at home. Not only that when they leave school or when they come from leaving school at their home, they have a second place they can call it their house. So at Saint Dia, the first thing we're going to put in front when you do walk in is it's going to be 100% community based. So the way Saint Dia can be organized, we are gonna do everything as community based, like cleaning, learning about new recipes, uh, pretty much. So pretty much, Saint Thea is gonna be a community based, so we can bring communities and mentors alike. So we all can find our own place in the journey of growing with one another. Saint Thea is going to be a place where a kid can learn about their history through meals, cook meals with confidence that they can cook home and provide for the family as well as get to know other people through connecting with one another through friendship or brotherhood, and as well as playing the chess to build knowledge of one another and to exchange ideas, exchange intellect.
Yeah, man, I like that a lot. You know, when I was in high school, I started cooking my junior year of high school because I knew I was gonna go away to college, and I always saw like the college struggle. You got to eat ramen noodles, cup of noodles, and you're doing bad. And I didn't want to have to do that bad if I didn't have to. And so I would ask my parents, "Hey, can you guys teach me, ways that I can cook so that I can, take care of myself? So when I'm away, I don't have to struggle and just be, depending on bare meals." And that actually helped me. I used to cook for a lot of my friends in college. I'm a grill master with the steaks.
So, quick question. So, mentoring with chess, how do you come upon that idea?
So I'm going to be honest. I learned how to play chess not even a year ago. But when the gentleman was teaching me, I kept stopping and be like, yo, this feels like psychology, because the way you're talking about the pieces and how the nuance of the game, it's such a parallel with his life skills. And in particular, the life skills that I think a lot of young men struggle with. And I think even young men that play sports, in chess, you can't get upset and fuss every time you don't get the right move. Sometimes you even got to sacrifice pieces of the game in order for you to get moves later in the game. So I think, so I just couldn't help but see the parallels of life on the chessboard. And I thought with it being a game, it gave it an activity where it's not just a lecture. It's like I can talk to you, but you can see it. Like, a pawn, you can get that pawn to the other side of the board, it becomes a queen. The weakest piece in the game can become the strongest if you're strategic, and life is no different. I think it's just there's so many lessons that can come from a chessboard as you're playing the game versus just as you're learning it as well. So that's why I thought it was an essential, and it's something that is popular in the world, and it used to be a staple in the Black American community too. Like barbershops, you always had some elder men in the corner playing chess. You can get wisdom from those men if you sit with them. You go to the parks in New York City, you always have wise men in the hood playing chess. You can get wisdom from them brothers if you sit and play with them. And so I wanted to recreate that.
So in your opinion, what's the best piece on the chessboard?
I actually think the best piece of the board is going to be the king. But I know the queen is obviously because it can do more.
So we agree on two different spectrum on this idea. My favorite piece on the chessboard is the pawn.
Interesting. Why the pawn?
The pawn, he begins off with nothing. He begins off with no ambition, but slowly throughout the game goes, he can become someone one day within the game. The main goal of the pawn is to move not all by himself, but with a group of 2 or 3. Connecting with other pawns make him stronger. With 3 or 2 pawns can take out a queen, well strategically planned. Therefore, a pawn, in my opinion, he starts with nothing, but he got a lot to gain in the middle or end game. So my favorite piece is the pawn.
Because you actually have much more knowledge and wisdom in the game than I do. With that definition, I actually like the pawn a lot more too, because I think, once again, life is the same way. A man can have nothing, but strategically or through partnerships, he can have it all. And we see that often. I tell everybody, when I first started this journey of getting into business, I had this mind that I had to have everything, I had to know everything, and that's so not true. You just have to know one part. Steve Jobs is known for running Apple. Steve Jobs is not a computer technician. He's not a programmer. He's not a coder. He's not none of that. He's just a visionary. And he was able to get people to see his vision and execute. That's what business is all about. You could argue that Steve Jobs is the pawn. And he just got together with other guys put the keys together, yeah.
So another question I want to ask. So about coming from New York and learning about the game chess very late.
Yes.
So coming to build organization that bring men together in the game of chess. Which age groups are you interested in targeting?
So it's kind of twofold because I'm targeting both mentors and mentees. My vision is, I believe, the saving grace of not just the black man, but I say the brown man, the red man, the Asian man, white man too, is we need to get our boys in middle school. That is the age where everything changes for them, where they're no longer just babies. They're starting to deal with their feelings, emotions, and starting to becoming to their greater self. So JustINSPIRE Mentoring, when running 100%, has a program that's actively supporting middle school kids. Those middle school kids I want to stay with me and grow on and potentially become mentors who are turning around doing the same work again. We target mentors, men, I actually would say probably, I think 18 to 24, because that's an age group where you still actually need support yourself. There's a lot to this world that you don't understand, but you are having to deal with the world as a man. My own experience that there are so many great things that I could have done if only I had support. Sometimes support is just somebody sitting down with you, looking at what you got going on, and just being strategic about your next step. It doesn't necessarily mean they got to know it all, but it's just having somebody, just a confident supporter that you can go through and troubleshoot your situation with. So I believe I can offer that to young men, and in return, they can help me support younger men. And this can probably be all done simultaneously.
Another question I want to ask, tell me more about 8-year to 10-year-old Mr. Justin.
When I was 8 or 10 years old?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a whole nother Justin, man. Life was so much different for me. It's kind of scary. My grandfather was alive. I was an artist. A lot of people don't know that about me. Like, I'm a real artist. Like, I was going to schools, I was getting trained, sketching, not painting so much, but sketching and just drawing concepts, animals, sketch from comics. I would have my art up in the schools I went to. I was living in Queens, so I was in South Side Jamaica, Queens. That was my reality. My family was in the Bronx and Harlem and in Chicago. I think I was really, I don't want to say naive, but I was really embracing my inner child. I think that's another reason why I want to do JustINSPIRE. I think that's where our strength comes from. But we run away from that trying to fit in. And in fitting in, we lose ourselves. But at that age, I was very much all on me. My interests, I was into animals, science, dinosaurs.
Yeah. Like, to piggyback on that question, I know back at MSSI, I have you, I have Mr. Justin, Mr. Jeffrey, Miss Chanel, Jaden, I have Dean Bear, Nicole Bear, Dean Bear, I have all the other mentors. Who was your mentor when you growing up? Who helped you out to get through hard times? Who you got guidance from growing up?
Yeah, that's one of the good questions. I kind of feel a little vulnerable with what's about to happen. I guess I'm afraid about people saying this and thinking the wrong thing. I'm not in any way trying to say that I don't have family. I do. I have a big family. But I don't think I actually had a mentor. And I think that's probably been the biggest struggle. I will say that there have been men and women throughout my life that have appeared. I do not think they were consistent. I will say my grandfather, who died when I was 11 years old from cancer, he would have been that mentor. And he was, up until that point, a mentor for me. Any hard times, me and my father, I love him dearly, but we had a really combative relationship through most of my life. And the irony is, his father, we had a loving relationship. I would say I wish my father loved me the way his father loved me. And so that's also part of what powers JustINSPIRE. I want to give the next man what I wish I had. Because again, I think I put myself in a lot of great positions for great opportunities, but the inability to have people that I could really break through with, I didn't have. I would always end up in conflicts or arguing, and I think the goal would get missed. So I'm doing this out of living a life of lacking. I don't want anyone else to lack anymore.
Let's say if I'm a new person coming to JustINSPIRE. So how do that kid look? Like, what is he wearing? What's his personality like? And how can y'all 360 him or teach him about new things he never learned about and ways I can implement that to make him become a better kid or a better person in the future?
So when I think about JustINSPIRE, shout out to Edgardo again, I think about guys that are similar to me. I legit was a good kid. I didn't want to do bad things. I didn't want to hurt nobody. I had lofty goals and ambitions. And there are a lot of kids within our community that are the same way. I'm gonna tell you what happened to me though. Why I stopped drawing. I was looking for attention and trying to find acceptance. And a lot of young men will forsake who they truly are because they're trying to fit a mold so that they can be accepted. My dad is a football coach. So when we first moved to Long Island, I would see, and I tell him all the time, I felt like he loved the other kids the way I wanted him to love me. So I started playing sports, not because it's what I really wanted to do, but because I wanted to be loved by my father. I grew up watching Michael Jordan. I always saw Michael Jordan hug his dad after the game. I remember him falling down, crying when the first championship when his dad wasn't there. So in my young mind, it was like, you need to be an athlete. Those get the real father-son relationships. And that's not true. That's really not true. And my dad actually said many times he loved my art. The issue is we didn't know how to communicate that to each other. And I didn't truly understand. So I think of young men that are going to school, struggling with their identity because they don't want to fit in. Those are young men that should look for a man like me. Because I'm here to help you not fit in, but help you understand your own self. I'm help you put your own shoes on and help you make sense of who you are. I'm looking for the young men that know they want more. Someone that looks outside their window and you don't necessarily hate what's happening, but you know that there should be more. You want more. I'm here for the young men that hunger for more. The young man that hungers for more is going to be open to conversation. Like, God hung out with us today for a couple hours because he hungers for more. He wants more knowledge. He wants to know better. So I want more young men like that. And they're out there. There are some that they may not know they're hungry, but they do want more. These young men, I won't necessarily put a description on what they look like, just what their mind looks like, exploring. They probably have different hobbies. Maybe you're into gaming. I don't want another cool kid. Because cool is a trend. Cool is somebody fitting in. It's not actually a leader. Cool is what we do when we're afraid. We become cool so we can fit in. You become cool so everybody else likes you. I'm looking for those that want to be liked for being themselves. Because that's actually the greatest gift you can give to us all. That's what God did for us all. He made us unique. So I want to be someone here on the ground that speaks that to power in every single one of us, starting with you.
So coming back to JustINSPIRE. So pretty much, you started JustINSPIRE. Are there any other nonprofit or anything you're working on currently?
So there's actually going to be a nonprofit foundation that I'm going to build that supports JustINSPIRE mentoring. Because JustINSPIRE is not a nonprofit, it's an LLC. We sell merchandise. I make cool graphic tees, hats. I have a journal a guided journal for men. I also have an agenda book.
Quick question. What do that proceeds go to?
Huh?
The proceeds from your apparel line or...
So that's what I was about to get into. When I start making my first profits, I want to take about 40% and use those monies to start my foundation. The foundation is going to be so we can offer mentoring and mentoring programs to the community that can't afford to pay for the services we currently have. I currently do charge $75 an hour in general for mentoring, but I know that there are a lot of people that need that support that probably can't pay that. And the reason why I'm not a nonprofit is because what people don't realize, when you're starting a business, a lot of times getting those funds that you need to do business, you're gonna have to come out your own pocket anyway. They don't just give you a startup grant to literally start the business. There's a lot that you have to do. There's a lot of hand holding, handshaking, and I wanted to be able to create something self-sustainable. So that's why JustINSPIRE LLC is a single member LLC. I'm going to start a foundation that pretty much covers the expense of mentoring for the greater public so that anybody who wants mentoring or wants my support can have it.
And that's pretty generous. That's pretty wholesome. So what gave you the idea to create the nonprofit or the LLC?
So this is actually my third business. I started my first LLC was JustINSPIRE 85. I did that in New York in 2018. I had a website. I just wanted to promote just conscious and, growing yourself. I wasn't so far into the journey as I am now. Then when I moved to North Carolina, creations for a righteous design. Something like I have to look it up, but that company, we were making conscious graphic tees. Like I had a T-shirt. I think it had a man drinking from a white only fountain, and I had a quote over the top, and I think it was like feeling like something. But again, the reason why I started an LLC was I wanted to be able to control my own destiny. Just because you're a for-profit doesn't mean you have to be unethical. You can still make profits and still have, be an ethical person. You don't have to charge millions. And to be honest, I want to be able to do this for a living. I don't want to have a job. I would be so happy if all I do for the rest of my life is sit around with young men, sit on panels that we're organizing, mentorship programs. That's it. That's all. So I believe that between doing this and the YouTube channel, if you're watching, please subscribe to YouTube, JustINSPIRE Mentors, JustINSPIRE Mentoring, monetizing all these things. I can just focus my life on mentoring and nothing else. I believe I made it.
That's pretty interesting. So I know you said your father was a football coach and your grandfather passed away at a young age. What was your favorite subject, or did you have a favorite teacher growing up?
I'm gonna give a shout out to 2 teachers. Shout out to Longwood School District. If you're watching this and you go to Longwood, you need to follow. So make sure you follow and subscribe. But one of the teachers that changed my life, Mr. Stevens, if you can see this, bro, I love you. You mean everything to me. You literally changed my mindset on school. Mr. Stevens was a math teacher. I struggle with math always. I've failed it. I've had a hard time with math. When I had Mr. Stevens, 6th grade, was also my first male teacher. I think that's important. While taking his class, I would end up getting a B in math. I got the highest grades ever in math, and I did that in his class. It was the way that Mr. Stevens spoke to me. He was a big white guy, but he had a real soft voice. He didn't look like no frail, no punk, but he spoke to me so kind. And I think 6th grade, my grandfather died. No, I was in 7th grade at that point. I'm sorry. I was in 7th grade. My grandfather died the year before. I think I was really vulnerable to just somebody being kind. Not to say that the men in my life weren't kind, but I don't think a lot of men in my life understand what I mean when I say being intentional. Your kindness. He was intentionally really kind. Another person I want to big up is Mr. Fabian. He was my history teacher in global studies, which is also my favorite subject. I love history. So I believe if you don't know your past, you are doomed to repeat it, and you often don't know what you're walking into. But if you know your history, you can update and change the future. I love that. When I say I love history, I'm the type of kid that I take that Prentice Hall textbook home and I'll read it on my own. I don't care what this time it is. I'm going to keep going. And I'm asking, how come we don't ever learn about this stuff in Egypt? How come we don't talk more about that? I used to love to learn about the Egyptians and the Greeks because I like Greek mythology.
So, when the nonprofit do come into fruition, what is some of the aspects are you excited to see or excited?
Program management. It's like when it comes to fruition, we got a whole working program that kids are excited to come and be a part of. So I think seeing the program carried out somewhere actively on a regular day basis, like just me waking up and knowing that by the day's end, I'm going to be doing this in front of some young men. That's probably it for me.
So coming into working with kids, what are some of your strengths?
I'm a former school counselor. I also have, I literally did research on how to improve Black and brown male graduation and retention rates. So I think one of the strengths that I have is I think I talk to brothers. I don't talk at them. I talk to brothers. And because I talk to brothers, I think I'm more empowering than the average. Like, I can talk to you and you're going to believe that you can do something as a result of our conversation. I also think I know what it's like to overcome, because I've fallen and got back up a lot in this life. I've had to fight through every stage: high school, college, grad school, and one day PhD. So I think that in itself is kind of unique. I think sometimes when we look at a lot of the people that are working in, I'm just gonna say in higher education, a lot of these schools, a lot of brothers and sisters that are there, they don't necessarily know the struggle. Maybe they don't come from that environment, meaning, everybody that went to an HBCU did not come from a Black community. And I'm not at all trying to attack brothers and sisters that are more privileged than some of us. But what I do acknowledge and want us all to acknowledge is that sometimes if you don't come from the environment, you're not able to speak to it as someone that does. And that's not a race thing. That's a lived experience. A white man that lives in a community like Gordon Heights can relate to Black people in a way that a Black person that grew up in what's a real rich area? In Baldwin Hills. The Baldwin Hills Black person will not relate to you and me like the Gordon Heights white guy, because that Baldwin Hills experience is not that Gordon Heights experience. Baldwin Hills is a really rich neighborhood. They do really, really well. So a lot of struggles and things that some of us may have seen, they got no idea about. Which means that sometimes the way that they talk and see you could be different. And me, not to pander, but my parents, they afforded me enough opportunities, but they made sure to keep me around all my family so that I'm aware of all lifestyles. I understand what poverty looks like. I know what real rich living looks like. I know what middle class living looks like. I know what my household looks like. So I can be in many places and I can fit in. You don't have to worry about me embarrassing you or being afraid or saying something that's gonna be like, yo, chill, you could not see that? It's all right, okay. I know the struggle. I know the struggle and I know we can be more than that. And I think I carry that with me and I speak that to everyone I talk to. That's probably the most powerful thing.
So walking into this new new page of your life, creating this new nonprofit. So what are the weaknesses you know you have that you need to get worked on?
I think one of the biggest struggles is going to be mobilization. You know, you can have a great mission, you can have a great plan, but one man can only move so much. How can I demonstrate my ability to mobilize and get others behind me? That's I realize I have to work on. And sometimes the struggle is, you know, I can get in my own head. Like, I know I'm good enough. The hell with y'all. That's not the mindset. What's wrong? I cultivate everybody's interest in this. And leveraging, I'm not working with the most resources. You know, I got to deal with real life things as well as trying to handle this business. But I will say I have stamina. Like a dog, I know how to lock on something and stay at it, meaning that I'm not going to quit. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that said we shouldn't have had this cookout today, but I wasn't going to quit. We were going to have it. And we're going to have another one on July 25th, so you guys make sure you're on the lookout for that. In Jesus' name. Amen.
You already talked about so many opportunities you see in the future with starting your nonprofits or your LLC. What are the threats that lies ahead?
Oh, I mean, number one, having the confidence to not be deterred just for your own knowledge, man, as you go on this journey with your nonprofit, right? Sometimes, you know, we have to face setbacks. We have to face, no's. But you have to keep the mindset that you can be delayed, but you can't be denied. Some of the threats are, I'm an outsider, meaning that I'm not originally from Baltimore. So there are a lot of people that need my help, need my support, but they don't know who I am. So because they don't know me, they're going to go someplace else. So one threat is I have to constantly be consistent with getting my name out there so that people can recognize me. And not being, and just, you know, in this day and age with digital media and marketing, there are a lot of people that have a lot of following but don't have any credibility. But there are people that have all the credibility, but they have no following. And so I have to keep working to beat that.
So pretty much, I know you say you work in counseling. You have one nonprofit, one LLC underneath your belt. You do mentoring as well. How do you handle your day-to-day stress, including your personal life?
So I like to DJ, man. Music is my drug of choice. Sometimes you just gotta get lost in the music. And practice positive talking, self-talk, because it's easy to get caught up in throughout the day with all the negativity, to let it manifest and start to eat away at you. And I'm not perfect. There are definitely days where stuff's getting hectic and I let it get the best of me. But I'm human and I just try to be my best going forward. I try to work with momentum. Like we have momentum going right now. Got 3 of us out here today. That's the most we've ever had with JustINSPIRE. But we got plans for another date. We have locations in set. Things are in motion. So now I go back to the drawing board. Now I have more pieces to work with and just keep building on that. And learning how to take lessons out of everything. When you take lessons out of every experience, you're getting blessings. You're not losing. Like there's no losses in life if you learn.
So pretty much just blanked out for a minute. So pretty much in the near future, how long you think this whole thing will be established?
I think we're a year past due. I think now that I got real players that can commit, I think by December I should have finalized a contract somewhere. So to give this more clarity, what's been kind of the linchpin is I've been doing a lot of planning, coming up with programming, but it's all based on somebody giving me a contract in which then I can now pay for someone to help mentor and get supplies to help execute. I've been pretty much planning a battle without the actual soldiers and the tanks to fight the battle. But once I get somebody to believe in the idea, they'll greenlight me, and that'll give me the tools to carry it out.
That's pretty nice. So When everything's said and done, I know you say music is your calming spot.
And cooking.
How do you, or what is your place of regeneration, or a place or a mindset you can bestow on yourself to be calm in certain stressful situations for a kid who don't know how to understand those type of
You know, somebody said this to me, and I've kept it with me. You've survived the worst moments of your life up until now. Don't quit. This too shall pass. It doesn't matter how bad it is, but it's going to end. And that's universal. And it's important to say that, because if it's universal, that means it's mathematical. Momentum is like a pendulum. It shifts. If you know a pendulum, it has to swing the other way at some point. If you stop the pendulum, you can stop it. You can. But you have to actively hold it. Because once you let it go, it starts swinging again. And life is the same way. Sometimes the pendulum has not swung our way yet. And maybe it's being held up by something. But once that thing is cleared, it's going to swing again. And I'll be honest, I know in life, waiting for that pendulum to swing could mean a living situation that you're going through. It could mean, yo, I need this money to pay my rent. I need this job to fall through. I need this person to call me back. Regardless, you just gotta wait some time. Waiting is half the battle. Showing up, is half the battle. So just being consistent and understanding, don't take things personal, learn from everything, because no matter what, you can always do better. And that's just applying wisdom. That's not to say that you ain't do your best, but your best can always be better. Actually, I have some questions for you. Why are you interested in mentoring anybody?
Growing up, I was always the odd one out.
It's funny, that's what I said. I was singling out too. What makes you the odd one out?
Okay, among my peers, I wasn't, know how to put this. I wasn't the take serious type. A lot of my peers. The way I think, the way I make jokes a lot, and then just the way I carry myself. So to half my life, I had to prove myself. I understand. Might be other kids who facing the same thing. If I can show them it can be done in their own way, maybe they have a fighting chance to do something, or put the time or get the confidence to do something they really want to do.
I want to make sure they say, cool. Sometimes it don't be recording, I be pissed. If I could summarize that, it sounds like you too would like to go back and help your younger self.
Yeah, but it's gonna be kind of hard for my side a little bit, because I stutter a lot, or I get nervous here.
You know, I'm not born with a speech deficit.
Stuttering as well?
I had to go to a speech coach. You didn't see it, but I stuttered. I'm pretty sure I stuttered in this conversation.
Nah.
It's not as bad anymore, but I had to train at it over years.
Mm-hmm.
But it used to be really bad. I used to stutter and my eyes would blink out, my head would shake. I used to stutter like that. Kids used to make fun of me. Sometimes family too, but I just overcame it with time.
So that's pretty interesting. Right now, I'm on my journey of learning how to minimize those stuff, and as well broaden my sense of vocabulary as well. Because sometimes I have to stop and rethink or revise what I want to say, so we both can be on the same page, or so I can get to you correctly with my point of view. So,
Read books?
I'm trying to, not every day I try to read a Bible verse.
Okay, I was gonna say reading books though is a good way to help improve your vocabulary, because a lot of authors, they'll introduce you to new words.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get better with reading too. Earlier in the year, me and Edgardo were supposed to read the autobiography of Malcolm X. We were gonna take a group of people to Harlem to visit, there's actually a Malcolm X center. But we kind of struggled at recruiting, and yeah, funds got kind of tight this year. I couldn't do it. But that's definitely something I want to do, like annually, like get kids to read. Plus that book, have you ever read it?
No.
Yeah, we should all read together. That book is one of the greatest works I believe a man, especially a man of color, can read. Because most of us, you probably don't realize who Malcolm X was before he became Malcolm X. All he came through to become the man that he was at the end.
I don't know before.
Yeah, I would argue there's no man that seen transformation like Malcolm X. I think that if you read Malcolm X's story, every man believes they can become something. To me, that book tells you that. Malcolm X was like, excuse my French, he street nigga. Full body. Talking about the ski mask on 24/7. He was that guy. But he learned different. It became the complete opposite, you know? So if he can do that, we all can. What areas of mentorship interests you?
Bestowing another person my knowledge, or how do I see my point of view of life. Anytime I do give people advice, I always tell them that's how I see it. Take it as a sticky note, but don't take it as a pinpoint value, because you can be in that same situation and it happened totally different from yours. So let it be a sticky note of how I see it, and you try to reference it or pick. Like, let's say you give a student or a football player a route to run. You give them the route to run during a football game. To play the defensive team that gonna try to tackle my offensive team. The same thing that happened for you won't happen for me. The opening won't be the same way how it was there for you. So I have to find a different way to get to the end point of my route. So
yeah, I think what you're talking about is two big things that I probably should have brought up for me too. Number one, you talk about perspective, and a lot of people fail to realize that your perspective is not everyone's perspective. I think that's I want to say that's like the dogma that I think the generations before us, a lot of them think on that. What they see is law, and that's not true. That's just your experience. I teach in my communications class. I teach every class. I teach them about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is definitely psychology. But I tell people it's the psychology of how we communicate to each other, because Maslow's hierarchy of needs talks about the stage of life that you're working from. And so what I think is important about that is most of our people are communicating from the first stage of life, which is your bare essentials, or the second level, safety and secure in those things. And so, but me and you, when we have these struggles, we're struggling because we're trying to reach good goals, which is stage 3, all right? But the problem is people will look at us and be like, well, you don't have your house, you don't have the car and all that. Those are your basic essentials. So because they don't see you with that, they're talking to you on level 1. But you need someone to talk to you on level 3 that can help you reach those goals. Because the reality is, once you get those goals, everything else is going to get taken care of. And you probably already realize that. That's why you're at that level. But most people, they never get past that level 2. I like in level 2, though, you get that job, you work it for 20 years, and you get a nice paycheck, your bills are paid, you're happy. You don't go any further. Like, you know, I'm not trying to diss, but like that's my dad's life, right? He took care of us. That's all he wanted to do. That's also what the young man was saying about his dad early as well. His dad is just focused on taking care of us. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you can't shun people that want more. And the problem is we want more. We also don't have kids that we have to focus on, so that could be why we want more. And maybe if we had kids, we'd be fine with just that. But that's not the case. And because we want more, we need people that can speak to that and encourage us more. But a lot of times, everyone's only focused on, hey, just get your basic needs. Like I tell people, the same work it takes to get a great job, that's the same time you have to put in to get a good business. You got to apply to grants. You're going to have to, like I'm talking to somebody on Tuesday about both of us. You know, they have a company that we can possibly partner. It's the same time. You know, calling someone an info session about businesses, that ain't no different than an interview for a job. The difference is with the job, we're going to get a salary. The partnership, we're going to talk about, you know, sharing resources, which could be money.
So, in your understanding, you know how you say some people can want more and some people can want the bare minimum?
Yeah.
What can cause a person to be tunnel vision on an idea or on level 1 thinking?
So I'm always going to say it's going to be our lived experiences. When we see people on tunnel vision that don't want nothing, just the basic, that's usually due to how they living. They've been limited. A limited view will keep you wanting limited things. Right? Like if you were a kid, I can think about some places I come from, right? If all you know is the projects, that corner store, that McDonald's, and that Stop and Shop grocery store, and that's your kingdom, and you think as long as you can work in that you good, who am I to tell you, right? But if I start going to Chicago, if I start going to Asia, if I start going to the Caribbean, and I'm like, well, that's nice too, bro, but you ever had chicken from the China lady in China? It tastes a little different. You want to know what it tastes like? Nah, he thinks the China lady that he go to is fine. But that's because he's never had anything else. And part of this is, it's like the edge of a cliff. You can't see past it. Do you jump off? Jumping off is what you're doing when you want to investigate the world and learn more, because you don't know what you're getting into, but you jumped anyway. A lot of people are afraid. As a matter of fact, a better example is getting in deep water. A lot of people don't want to get into deep water. It's scary. You can't feel beneath yourself. What if you slip? What if you drown? You can drown in the shallow one too, but no one ever wants to talk about that. That's what limits us, man, is not being exposed to. However, I'm going to argue what also allows you to have tunnel vision, to focus on bigger goals, is being exposed to and seeing more, knowing that it's possible, right? I read a lot of books from people that I want to be like or have things I want. Like 50 Cent is a rapper that I look up to. He's had a really tumultuous life, but he's also done some great things. He came from the same neighborhood as me. I want to know, what did he do to make it happen? I read his story. I know he struggled quite a few times in his life, but what I realized is he just kept coming. And he learned to take things that could have been a curse and make them work for him. And we can all do those same things, you know? Like I told you when we were driving here, you know, I talked about, you know, Malcolm X in his late years, when he left the Nation of Islam. He struggled. He was financially in trouble because, you know, the Nation of Islam gave him everything. So when they took it from him, he had to get back on his feet. Martin Luther King, after the Civil Rights Movement, when he was, you know, started talking about the war and everything, he lost a lot of money because he lost support, right? But you keep on, you know, your noble efforts. You know, those guys were, unfortunately, you know, we never really saw them triumph and come in return. But throughout history, man, you read about more and more people. But the hardest, I would say not the hardest, but the most fruitful victories take some time.
In your understanding, what you say best way to like move up or to see different perspective of life is to change your location?
I think so. Absolutely. Change your location and watch what you ingest, not just what you eat, but what you're looking at too. Because if you ingest too much of the wrong things, it could change your view.
That's interesting as well. So, like changing your location, but I will say one more thing too about your family members or the people you keep around you too. Because some people might look to their father as the guy or the person who's been through a lot or the person who have all the answers. But in the other way, you haven't been through a lot. You have not been through a lot, like went through circumstances, but you haven't put yourself in positions to become so-and-so person, a position to start a new chapter that you haven't started before or seek out before. So how do you deal with that?
So that's real, man. That's it's kind of what happens to young brothers when they go to college, right? Because you know, my father went to college, but he did not finish. And so a lot of times what's happening is, as I'm going to college, I'm on now the same level experience-wise as my dad, at least experience-wise in terms of, you know, getting knowledge. And so things that I'm experiencing, he can't necessarily speak to because he has never been there. And I really thought about this so much over the last 5 years, because when I was at UNC Chapel Hill, I met a black brother there. His grandfather has a PhD. And I said, yo, do you know how life-changing that is? That means that everybody after your grandfather had somebody that went the full spectrum. Because if you have a PhD, you had to get a master's, you did all that. Whereas me, if I get a PhD, I'm the first one. My father's never been to grad school, so I'm the first one to do that, and I did it twice, right? This PhD thing, that's gonna be just me. There's no one that I can talk to, at least, I don't have any men in my family that have a PhD that I can relate to. That's me blazing a trail. So when I blaze trails, I have to go outside my family and find supporters that can relate to me, so that I'm not continuing to stray alone. At the same time, you can't devalue people because they don't have those experiences, because they lack they have something else. My father has a lot of great lived experiences. Just because he can't relate to what I'm going through with the college thing doesn't mean he still can't relate to me with what I'm going through in life. And since I have the knowledge, I'm just mindful of that and listening to what he's saying and not taking it all to heart, because I know he's got some limitations there. And I would tell any young man, if you know you are a trendsetter and you're breaking new grounds that your family's never been to, that doesn't mean that you don't listen to your family. You just have to be mindful of who's talking to you, where it's coming from. It's almost like an athlete that plays in the NBA. Let's say he goes to a restaurant, bunch of fans there, but no one's ever even played varsity basketball. And some guy gets up to him and is like, yo, you suck, man. You're trash. You know that? You're trash. He's a fan. He has a right to an opinion. Is it an educated opinion? It might not be, because he's literally just a fan. He's never played the game. So there's a limitation to how much knowledge he really has. Now, there are some people that never played that know the game. Those people usually don't come at you like that. People are, you know what I'm saying? So you just have to be mindful, not take it personal. And I tell people, if you're listening, we have these issues often as you're starting your own business. We get mad at like family and friends. They're not supporting us. They're not doing this. That's not actually true. You have to acknowledge you're doing something they don't understand. They can't support you like you want because they don't know what you're doing. And you don't have all the time to make them understand because that's going to take away from growing your business. But that's why once you get to a certain point, they're going to come running in anyway. They just didn't know what to support yet. So you just got to be mindful, man, and give people grace.
So true. Coming from a family as a first generation Liberians.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much everything is like cookie cutter. Go to school, get the best job, don't deviate away from that. Growing up, I was always business minded. I remember my high school years, I couldn't find a job. Okay, even before that, my 9th grade year of school, I can't even find a job. So pretty much, my mother wanted to deter me from selling candy at school.
I used to sell candy at school too.
I used to hire some of my friends to sell it for me.
Wow, you took it to a whole nother level.
I used to make at least $100 a day. Before the reason I got caught, my teacher, she told on me. And that was the same day some of the kids from the school was planning to rob me. So that was a blessing in disguise right there. The second time I know I can't sell candy at school, another plan I found out was gumball machines. So placing gumball machine at barbershops. Shout out to Platinum. That was the Platinum haircuts. I forgot the name, but
haircuts. Okay.
Shout out to y'all, the first people. One of the first people to give me a chance in the barbershop. So I had like close to 20 gumball machines.
You already own gumball machines? You own vending machines?
Yeah, I own a full line too. The reason I was supposed to start like last semester, when that stuff I told you about the whole situation at school, I had no money coming in. So all my vending machine I was in the warehouse, everything got taken away. So it was thousands of dollars. I went down the hole. But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
So when your parents want you to be on the school track, because my mother is a nurse assistant, she always told me, if you don't go to school, you're going to work your ass off. And that's the path she wants us to be on. She not coming from a place of hate.
Yeah.
She's just coming from a place of love or want the best for me. Because at the end of the day, I knew my mother than me, coming to a new country that never been to before, can barely speak the English, be on a wall with refugees from a different country, bouncing around from country to country, landing into America, and that's all they know, and they still trying to figure it out. So I always give them like grace, or not say, not throw what to say to the side, but at the end of the day, put myself in the shoes as a parent who want the best for the son who have limited knowledge on certain topic. At the end of the day, we're not perfect. I don't know it all. I just trying to push myself on different terrains I've never been to before.
I think that's the mindset to have, man. And yeah, you're pretty entrepreneurial already. Jesus, man, that's what's up. How much do a gumball machines cost?
At that time, I bought it all came, rest in peace, my stepfather. He took me to go get some. I sold vending machines. I sold like 20 gumball machines from the back of my house. People coming in and out buying. Where I had gumball machines all over Baltimore. When COVID hit, everything shut down. So I had to. I used to make like close to 500 a week in quarters, just quarters. Whole bunch of quarters. At that time, I had my full-time job at Family Dollars when I was trying to work on my full-line vending machine.
Bro, you are really entrepreneurial. That is amazing.
Yeah, I ain't go to my full ability yet. So St. Deer is gonna just be the base I want to build right now. The full horizon is another part of 4D, but we just have to make the location the safe haven. That's what the brick and mortar store is safe haven for what I have in store. And plus, I don't want to move too fast, but the faster I can get that safe haven, the next point or this next St. Diego move to.
Is there an age group that you prefer to mentor?
I was about to say middle school kids, high school kids. Okay, when I was working at Echo Hill, I got a lot of middle schoolers and elementary school, so I got a lot of experience with them. I wasn't really a mental elementary school kid. I put myself back into my eighth grader self again, play around to be one of them, become a kid again. But where the middle schools, that's when I can pass down my knowledge, not only with jokes and be relatable with them, and I mean be really relatable and real with them, do stuff they're gonna see in life as when they get in high school, when they get to college. That's why I said high school is kind of iffy, because that's when sometimes a kid get stuck in their ways, and to take them out, they're gonna need an older father figure or older brother to look up to get them out. But even still, it's a challenge to get them out. So it's better to attack them while they're still young before they reach the next level. Like that, they can keep on. If a kid get attached to you at a young age, they'll keep on coming back,
Absolutely.
coming back over and over and over.
That's why everything we're doing, I wanted to aim at supporting kids in sixth grade, because I feel like if we get them in sixth grade, this can start to be its own feeder. You know, if we have 20 sixth grade kids, I believe at least 5 of them will want to stay with us and end up mentoring other young men. Just keep that going. For read this, have this going, and my goal would be to do this all across the states. I'm already starting conversations in New York and North Carolina, but I have to get us finalized here first. It's our spot. I wish I had a little flag or something like we were here.
But today is the first day though. Okay, low key, I already got so complacent on the second location we saw. I was willing to deal with that one guy over there. But it's a good to keep on trying, but seeing waiting out your options so you can find the best fit for you. Your first option is not the only.
Oh yeah, we would have stayed at that first part. That would have been horrible.
Oh my God.
But you know what? I was kind of getting, I was reading that guy's energy. Like, I'm not saying he was racist or anything, but you know what? He might not be racist at all. He just might not want to be bothered with nobody. And he kind of gave that energy. And I feel like if he would have sat up and started doing all that, he'd have been like, yo, what the heck? I'm good. And because, you know what? Heck, if it was me and I'm sitting there minding my business and then you pull up with your friends and, well, not necessarily you, but just anybody, and just start grilling and playing music, I'd be a little pissed off too. Like, damn, I was really just minding my business. You really gonna come up here and just do all this right behind me? So, yeah. But I like us. I like being around us. This feels like when I was a kid, like before the internet and the phones. We went to the park. We all cooked. We cooked out. Usually what would happen, multiple families having cookouts, people start talking to each other from different families. And we end up, hey, how you doing? We end up all talking and communicating with each other. You know what I'm saying? You make some new friends. When I was a little kid, like that little girl just ran by, that'd have been me running through the park, talking to all the other kids, but they all cookouts and we all hanging out. Before you know it, somebody come looking for you. Now they coming to my family. Hey, my name's Kenny. Nice to meet you. That's my dad's name. Hey, we all doing our cookout too. Yeah, all right now, yeah. And that's beautiful blackness at its finest.
Yeah, always hold on to the first bet, but weigh up your options.
Yes.
It's good to strike when the opportunity is hot, but God can set other opportunities.
Yes. For example, if you saw the flyer, we said we were going to be at Rock Creek Park. And this is much better than what we would have got at Rock Creek Park, and it's free. Rock Creek Park would have $12 and would have charged everybody that came in.
Super packed, a lot of noise pollution. We don't have a great scene right here.
Yeah.
So that blessings in disguise.
I guess, what would be your ideal program for you to come to if you were 16 for mentorship? What would that look like for you?
That's kind of hard to say, because 16-year-old me is way different from 23-year-old me right now. But okay, looking through my 16-year-old lens for mentorship, Mr. Thomas. Like, he was my first real estate mentor before he passed away.
R.I.P. Mr. Thomas.
So yeah, I was about to say more real estate mentoring and learn that. I was about to say, yeah, about where I can manage my funds and how can I make my funds work for me.
Financial literacy. So let me turn back around. At your age now, if a man was trying to create a men's group and programming that entertains you, what would that look like?
I'm a big finesser of life.
You want to learn how to finesse life?
Yes, finesse life. I'm not saying to trick people out of
life skills, etiquette. You want to know how to live life and how to
Okay, the way I put it was so bad, but I got
You want to know life hacks? Maybe is that it? You don't want to cheat.
the cheap, but
You want to know the the
Get-
shortcuts, the tricks.
the tricks and take what I want from life with the less energy I put in.
You want to know how to work smarter, not harder.
Yes.
Got it. Got it. That does sound a lot better.
That sounds way.
Finesse.
How to finish. It took me a minute to get to where I was going at, but
Totally
we got
understand. Totally understand. I mean, I want that myself. That would also give me. And I do think, funny enough, though, wow, you can drive on the grass? They can. I can't wait till I get the tires and get my alignment, boy. I'm gonna be crazy with this truck. I would have drove over that. But yeah, man. I mean, my vision, what I hope to, this is probably like a 5-10 year goal, man. I don't just want to get guys together, but I want to be able to get us together and have meaningful resources. Like have a standing grant that I'm a mentor with JustINSPIRE. I know since I mentored with him after a year, he got a grant that I can use to help me get my idea off the line. I want to have those kind of funds. Maybe it's 1,000 now. Let's get that number up higher. I want to have a fleet of vehicles that we can go places and travel in style, because I know young people are attracted to that kind of stuff. I also want to have boats. I want us to have nice experiences. Have you ever been on a boat, man, and just talk? Even what we're doing right now, but on a boat, bro, it's different. It's nice.
I can't lie, it is a good feeling.
And imagine boys 14, 15, 16, they never even imagine that.
We'll never get the chance to experience that till they're older.
Yes. So, but that's the point. If we were doing this stuff when we were 14 and 15, by the time you're 18, you start thinking different.
Yeah.
I never was on a boat when I was a kid. I didn't know what that even meant. So, but talking about boats in my 30s, I realized, not only is it a status piece, but it's a real nice thing to have, and it's a great experience. It's like, how can I say this? When I was younger, so much of my entertainment had to be based on what money I spent to do things like going to a club, buying bottles, getting fancy clothes. The reality is we wasted so much money doing that stuff, and there's so much more life to live with just experience that you can have on your own. You don't have to pay for people to fancy it up. Like, you can have cheap drinks. Don't drink, by the way. But you can have, cheap food, but on a boat. And it's a way different than having McDonald's at the restaurant. Man, if you're sitting out in the middle of the ocean having McDonald's and talking about it, it's a lot different. That experience is gonna hit different. I would argue that quarter pounder going hit different every bite. And so I want to create those kind of opportunities. I know when I was in college, my roommate, his dad would come take us out to restaurants. I remember my freshman year, that was a whole conversation us had. How do you act when you go out to eat? And I was offended by that because I knew how to act because my parents took me out to eat. But there's an assumption that we don't go out to eat. Just because I didn't know the restaurants, because I'm not from Miami, I was from New York. It's not because I didn't have class. Just those restaurants aren't in New York. How about that? I'm never gonna forget that feeling like, dang, yo, we really talking like we don't know how, like, what, you think I'm a savage? I'm gonna do that or something? You don't think I know how to, but some of us did it, and that's not to tease anybody. You should have a space where you can get that support and not feel bad. So I want to be able to do that for people as well. That's why I always talk about social etiquette. Yeah, beautiful though. Damn. Yeah, I was about to say that, man. Yeah, I'm just happy right now. I'm just taking this all in.
Quiet silence.
Yeah, we can start packing it up. Don't forget, July 25th, we're gonna have another JustINSPIRE Smoker right here. Come on out, no pressure, brother. Just come and have something to eat, and let's talk and let's build how we can come together for a better tomorrow. Peace. That is beautiful.
When I used to work at Echo Hill, it used to be me,